My name is Sammy Halte, and this is my Streets of San Francisco history project. San Francisco has a plethora of streets. However, I was lucky enough to study Judah Street and the man himself, Theodore Judah. Judah Street is really interesting because it's really close to SI. It's just a little bit to the north, and there's a good chance you might have seen it as it's the J Street in the Sunset Boulevard alphabet. While there were many things I could have looked into on Judah Street, there were 5 main locations that I really wanted to hone in on. The first thing I really wanted to investigate on Judah Street was the N Judah streetcar. Now this is a really famous streetcar because, well, it goes across the entirety of the city. It starts from Ocean Beach and it ends near the Embarcadero, and you can take it all the way across San Francisco. I've never been directly on this cable car, but I imagine it's a very important source of transportation for many people living on Judah Street. The next place I wanted to visit was the Judah Mini Park. It's a little off of Judah Street itself. It's very close, but not directly on the street. However, I imagine it acts as a very nice recreation spot for anyone living on the street. Because Judah Street is located in the Sunset District, if you go all the way to the west of Judah Street, you'll eventually hit Ocean Beach. And of course, Ocean Beach is popular among SI and locals alike. While investigating Judah Street, I wanted to look into the places of worship that were here. Just off of the intersection between Judah Street and Sunset Boulevard is the SF Korean Methodist Church. It serves a rather specific community, but I believe it is proof of SF's unwavering inclusivity and diversity. The other place of worship that I was investigating was St. Anne's of the Sunset. It is a very large and beautiful church that is situated towards the east of Judah Street. I have a lot of personal ties to this church, even though I've never actually been into it. A lot of my family growing up went to this church, and I know a good amount of friends who went to the school attached with it. This was the first time I had visited Judah Street for this project. It was a very beautiful street with a lot of interesting gems inside of it, but you gotta ask, who was this street named after? Judah. Huh, does that name sound familiar? In the 19th century, the United States hit one of its biggest achievements, and that was the completion of the first transcontinental railroad in America. It connected both of the coasts together, which was in very high demand for the United States at the time. Typically, when we associate the Transcontinental Railroad with San Francisco, we think of 4 major people: Huntington, Crocker, Stanford, and Hopkins. However, there's a 5th unsung hero that we don't get to talk about. You guessed it, it's Theodore Judah. March 4th, 1826, Judah was born in the state of Connecticut. There he became an engineer and came to San Francisco to help with the building of the Transcontinental Railroad. At the time, it seemed like this railroad was completely impossible. The Sierra Nevada range in the Bay Area was almost impossible to get past. But Judah was persistent. He went to the Sierra Nevada and surveyed every single possible place he could. Soon he found out that the Donner Pass of the Sierra Nevada would be a very open spot for the Transcontinental Railroad to pass through. Because of this discovery, Judah went crazy. He never really went crazy, but people commonly referred to him as Crazy Judah based on his very strong ambition for the railroad. In fact, he went all the way to Congress asking for permission to begin construction on the railroad. Soon enough, the Pacific Railroad Bill was passed under Abraham Lincoln's presidency to get the railroad on the road. Judah never funded the railroad like the Big Four did, but he played a massive role in that the railroad might have not existed without his marvelous mind. In fact, it might have not even connected to the Bay Area as a whole. This becomes exponentially more important as we consider what was going on in the United States during the mid-1800s. The gold rush was massive, and many people from the East Coast wanted to migrate towards the West Coast and strike it big. So, the Transcontinental Railroad was another way that people were migrating to the United States and building up big cities like San Francisco. And for that reason, I believe Judah deserves his spot on the San Francisco street. Even though Theodore Judah made significant contributions to San Francisco, if I were in charge of naming a street after someone who represented the city with pride, it would have to be Darren Criss. Darren Criss is an SI grad, and he has been so involved in the acting scene while simultaneously representing San Francisco. After graduating from SI, he had many small acting stints, but he made his breakthrough in a very large television series called Glee. It was a musical television series that ran from about 2009 into the 2010s. Most recently, Darren Criss was also nominated for and won a Tony in the category for lead actor in a musical. This is a really big deal because it is the greatest award that someone can win in the Broadway community. My biggest hope is that he will continue to act and continue to represent the greater Bay Area with as much skill and talent as he possibly can. And with that being said, I now conclude my Streets of San Francisco project. Thank you so much for listening.